Welcome to the weekly mix. With the snacks, it's better than other drinks. This is a special episode in English, and I choose a Glenfiddich because it's number one best-selling single malt Scotch whiskey. We'll talk about the history and a little different between American blended, Scotch blended, and the single malt. Why and how became the name of Glenfiddich. We'll take it today. We'll talk about the distillery and the new part of it. We'll take two most famous sorts of Glenfiddich. Today I will present 12 years and 15 years, a special edition of 15 years. It's this distillery edition. So it's a little different from 15 years Glenfiddich, just something more in flavors. We'll take it today. Anyway, we will continue with the flavors and then the pairing food with the Glenfiddich, and finally I will present our mix today, the weekly mix. So follow me in this long episode. Maybe this is a long episode, I don't know, it's first time I make it in English. We'll talk about the Glenfiddich. Glenfiddich, it is the most famous whiskey in Scotland, and it's a Speyside whiskey. Now we will take the history. The history of Glenfiddich is the first single malt Scotch whiskey known in the world. What's that mean? That mean it made just from a malt and nothing else. If you have heard about blended or other blended, it means that make of different cereals, or that's most in USA. They blended different cereals before the distillation of the whiskey. The name have it and came from two rivers, the River Fiddick and the other river is for River Spey. So when the union of River Spey and River Fiddick make it, and therefore they called it Glenfiddich. We'll take a little bit history. Now we start to talk about Andre Asher. Andre Asher maybe not have the relation directly with the Glenfiddich, but why I take it today, because he founded the art of blended whiskey by a new Scotch way, and he didn't know that after 100 years later, Sandy Grant find his way to blend a single malt whiskey at the same way. What does that mean? That means that Asher blend the whiskey from the same distillery, but from different age and different barrels. Well, that was the huge difference between the American bourbon whiskey and because they blend different cereals. Here in Scotland, they just blend the same whiskey or other source of whiskey, but in the same distillery. Anyway, what Sandy Grant new idea was blend from different barrels age, and the same idea but for a single malt, just from single malt. The Glenfiddich was not known too much in Scotland, and Sandy Grant, and at this time it was the blended who was very famous at this time. We talk about it in 1960, at the beginning of the 60s. Okay, and Sandy first test was to make it on low age Glenfiddich, and what he presented first the 5 years, and he take a bottle from the 5 years from the barrel and filled it and tested to sold it in the pubs there in Dottam. There was a success for it, and after that he continued with the 8 years, and thereafter he won the people hearts back to the single malt again. Then after that it came the usually series 12, 15, 18, 21. That's all I have about the history. Now we'll talk about the distillery. The distillery was from the beginning with 30 stills from the beginning. Then it came the new part with a new 15 stills. That made Glenfiddich not just increase the production, but also to come with a new series in Glenfiddich, like many series today. Now we will talk about the sorts. The sorts today, I will just take the two most famous sorts. Today I have, like I said, the 12 and the 15 distillery edition. What is the flavor of the 12? It have vanilla, pear, apple, and the cream. This is the ground of the most Glenfiddich sort, and the taste of it may be a little bit sweetness. The 15 years and the 15 years distillery edition. What is the difference of them? It's in 15 years it have ginger, cinnamon, cherry, marzipan, oak, black pepper. This is the black pepper in this edition, in distillery edition. But in the 15 years, just have ginger, cinnamon, cherry, marzipan, and oak. Now we will take the food pairing. Food pairing, Glenfiddich is a light whiskey version of the single malt Scotch whiskey. If you compare it with the other Scotch whiskey, but it became more reachable. With age growth, like if you taste the 12, the 15 is different from the 12, so the 15 is more reachable, and so on, like 18 and 21 and the other. To having the lightly taste in even those high age sorts, what the Glenfiddich make it's to put some sweetness. Even in duty-free sorts, it's contained something sweet, like a brioche or honey or fresh fruit. When they name the fresh fruit, it's remember that you have pear and apple in the ground of the Glenfiddich. Anyway, the Glenfiddich is the whiskey when you drink or compare with the others, you will always recognize the Scotch taste. What I mean, maybe you just wonder. It's unique because this taste is mean that's malty. This malty is the most of Scotch whiskey. The taste of it is malty. not maybe sweet like bourbon and American whiskey. Glenfiddich is a whiskey that you can drink it single in bars, or that you drink it with ice or highball, which is similar with today mix and our mix today. Most food that you eat you can eat with Glenfiddich is snacks, nuts, olives, and chips. What about the dishes? The 12-year, you can use it with brown Asian food, Indian food like lamb and tikka. The 15 years, because it is more reachable, you can use it with Arabian like kuba and duck. And you can even use it with the sweets like fruity cake, apple pie, and salted caramel. This is from the Glenfiddich sources homepage, not from me. Okay, that's all about the Glenfiddich, and now we take our mix. We start with the 12-year, and we will open it. The bottle is recognizable, and it's like something like triangle, and it came from Grants, because the Sandy Grant is one of the sons of William Grant, and the whole company is belonging to William Grant. So today we will open this new 12 years Glenfiddich, and we will test it with our mix. Okay. And 15 years, it's, see, I already opened it, and it's the same design, but this is 1 liter and therefore bigger than, this is just 70 centiliter. Anyway, we will start with our mix. What is about our mix? Our mix is like so. Today I have the glasses of the distillery, it's a Glenfiddich distillery, and we start with put 3 ice cubes in every glass. Okay, that's the first. Okay, now it will come the difference. The difference is the 12-year, like we said, it's lighter, and therefore I use like it recommended in Glenfiddich website to take 5 centiliter for the highball, because our mix is similar to the highball mix. That's the 12-year, and now we'll take the 15-year, and the 15-year, because it's reachable, we will take just the 3 centiliter. So, and this is the 3 centiliter. Okay, what we will do now? Now we will fill the glass with a bubble water, with a soda, carbonated, without flavor. Why? Because, like we said, the Glenfiddich is reachable with fresh fruit. So, that's for the 12, and that's for the 15. And now we test them. So, we start with the 12. Before we test it, you remember that have vanilla, pear, apple, and the cream. Cheers. Uh, the taste is clear. It's vanilla, apple, and pear. It's more pear than apple, but the vanilla taste is reachable, and there is some sweetness in the taste. Okay, now we taste the 15 years. Cheers. This is more reachable and malty, and you remember that it have ginger, cinnamon, cherry, marzipan, oak, and in this home edition plus pepper. Okay, what is the most taste of the 15? It's the oak and the pepper, because this is the home edition, and the sherry. What's mean by sherry? Sherry is mean that's blended in a cask or a barrel, a wine barrel, or they put it some years in sherry barrel or the wine barrel, and you get this little bit sweetness. That's what they have, and the cinnamon and ginger is just not much reachable, but just to make it reachable, but the taste is not coming out. The marzipan is the same, just for make it creamy, you know, because it's 15 years. So the most taste it was oak, pepper, and cherry. This is what I have in my mix today from Glenfiddich, and I will see you in next time if I will present another episode in English.